Welcome back to video 2. Basically going over, we're basically gonna go over the, supply and demand, that part of the chapter, or that part of the section, the chapter. But before we get into it, I just want to kind of briefly mention one little thing from the video before, which is that, remember, f of x is the same thing as y. They mean the same thing. And actually, I just want to mention that, a lot of math has a lot of names for a lot of things. So, y is the same thing as f of x. M, your slope, also called your rise over run. Excuse me. Also called your rate of change. And then your b is your constant. Or when y, or when when b is what y is when x equals 0. It's your y-intercept when x equals 0. So just remember that. It's going to help you out a lot later in the future. M, slope, rise over run, rate of change. B, constant. Y-intercept when x equals 0. F of x when x equals 0. Because f of x is equal to y. So we're playing around more. So let's go back to the next lesson. The lesson of supply and demand. Now, supply and demand is used a lot in economics, and it employs the linear function y equals mx plus b because it actually helps us create graphs. Now, before I get into that, let's explain a little bit more of supply and demand. There are two key components right here. You have supply, and then you have demand, supply and demand. Supply is the quantity of goods a producer is willing to provide. Now, I always like to think it's like two sides of a coin. Supply is the buyer's side. It's the seller's side. Think about the question. I put cranberry boxes because the book uses cranberry boxes as like a huge example. So, I'm going to break it down with cranberry boxes. But this could be anything. It could be, ice cream. It could be pizza. It could be, I'm thinking foods because I'm hungry right now. But any good. It could be any good. So when you supply, quantity of goods producers are willing to provide. You got to think to yourself the question, how many cranberry boxes, how many goods do I want to supply the store with? If I was selling cranberries and I had a store, Ralph's is like, I want to, hey, we want to sell your cranberries. How many cranberries should I supply? What's the quantity of cranberry boxes that I want to supply to Ralph's so that they can sell? Demand is the other side of the coin. It's the customer side, the buyer side. Demand is the quantity of goods people are willing to buy. You asking yourself the question as a customer, how much, well, you can think of it as a buyer as well, but I say customer for one reason that you're going to see later on why I keep saying customer. But you think to yourself, how much do people want to buy? How much do people actually want to buy my cranberry boxes? So that's the supply and demand. Supply, the quantity of goods producers are willing to provide. How many cranberry boxes do I want to supply to Ralph's? And demand, the quantity of goods people are willing to buy. How many cranberry boxes do people actually want to buy from Ralph's? Got it? Good. So we have two laws when it comes to this. We have the law of demand and the law of supply. Supply and demand. Now, the law of demand, we're going to go over the law of demand first. The law of demand basically states, as price of an item goes up, the demand goes down. This says up, if you can. Sorry about that. As the price of an item goes up, the demand goes down. Now, that makes sense if you think about it. This is why I kept saying like you should have the excuse me, or you should think about it with a customer cap. So as the price of an item goes up, the quantity demanded, sorry about that. As the price of an item goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. So it's a little distraction. I can see why teachers are like, wow, I want quiet. Good focus. So now that we have the customer cap, we think to ourselves, well, I mean, actually, this makes sense. Think about it. If one package of cranberries costs $2, people probably want to buy that cranberries. They say, wow, that's cheap. That's a cheap box of cranberries. I want to buy that. But if that same, as the price, sorry, getting ahead of myself. And if that same package that costs $2, that people are like, wow, that's cheap. If that same package now costs $6, and people are going to say, wow, that's kind of too expensive. I can buy other brands for just, I can buy other brands that are cheaper for $2. Less people want to buy it. So as the price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. As the prices of the cranberry boxes go up, people are saying, you know what, that's kind of too expensive. I don't really want that anymore. The demand goes down. And then the inverse is true. As price, this is supposed to be a down arrow. Okay. As the price goes down, the quantity goes up. And just get rid of this. Price goes down, quantity goes up. Let's get rid of this. I wish I had whiteout, but we're a low budget company, so we don't have whiteout, as you can tell. So as the price goes down, the quantity goes up. If you ever see something on sale, it's on sale, the price is down. Sometimes you don't even want an item on sale, but since it's on sale and the price is down, you just want it. Strawberries are $2. I don't even like strawberries, but it's $2. That's a bargain. I want to buy that. And I actually gave an example right here, just so you can graph it. And these are, by the way, arbitrary values. I just picked them out of thin air. I didn't get them from the textbook or anything. It's just random. So at $2, people want to buy your cranberries. So you sold 20 boxes. Right over here at $2, people wanted it. So you sold 20 boxes. At $4, well, that's pretty pricey. Not that pricey, but pretty pricey. So less people want it. You sell less boxes. $6, you say to yourself, whoa, it used to be $2 and now it's $6? That's kind of too expensive. I don't really want to buy that. So you sell less because people want less. And that is the law of demand. As the price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. As your package of cranberries go up, you're going to say to yourself, that's kind of too expensive. I don't really want to pay that much. You're going to want less of that item. Got it? Good. All right, let's flip over. Let's go over door number 2. What's behind door number 2? All right, I think that's good. Beautiful. All righty. The second law is the law of supply. And the law of supply basically states, before that, we're at the different side of the coin. So we take off our customer's cap and we put on our sell person's cap. Excuse me. I have a lot of indigestion. I'm lactose intolerant, but that doesn't stop me from eating nachos. Anyways, so we put on our buyer's cap, our salesperson cap, and we think to ourselves, and we tackle the law of supply. The law of supply basically states, as the price of an item goes up, so does the quantity supplied goes up. That's a key word. Quantity supplied. How much of an item you're supplying. Remember, think back to supply. How much of an item do I want to give Ralph's? How many cranberry boxes do I want to give Ralph's? So, as price goes up, quantity supplied goes up, vice versa is true. As the price goes down, quantity supplied goes down. Why? Well, like I said, think about it more as a salesperson. You're a producer and you see that your cranberries are selling well since the prices are going up. So you think to yourself, if the price of a cranberry is high, I want to supply Ralph's with more boxes because I want to sell more of this high priced item. I want to make more money. But, as the price goes up, quantity supplied goes up. Now think about this one. If you're a producer and you see that your cranberry boxes aren't selling that well, they're priced pretty low. They're priced pretty low, and you're not really making that much money off of it. They might sell well, but you're not making that much money because they're like $1 a box. That's cheap. You're probably gonna give Ralph's less of that item and give them more of other high-priced items. So you see your cranberries aren't doing well. They're not really priced that high. So you're supplying less to Ralph's. As price goes down, quantity supplied goes down. Got it? Good. I also have a little graph here, to show you, at $2. I put parentheses here to these are basically coordinate points. You probably know this though. There's T graph. If you're listening into this is probably confusing, but just if you're watching this, then it makes more sense. I'm sorry about that, but you probably know what this is, the T graph, or the a way to plot points, keep it organized. That's all that. Again, these are arbitrary values. They don't really mean much. Just a way to show you how the graph look. So at $2, you're like, well, we're not really making that much money. So you only give Ralph's 10 packages, 10. The cranberries now cost $4. And you think to yourself, wow, okay, that's actually really good. So you give $4.20. I didn't mean that. I saw, this is like my third time making this video. I actually just realized that $4.20. Anyways, so at $4, you see that they cost $4. So you tell yourself, wow, that's actually okay. I could make money. So you decide to give Ralph's more packages. 10 more packages, 20. At $4, you give them 20 packages. And then you see that cranberries now cost $6. And you think to yourself, whoa, that's really good. I can make a lot of money out of these cranberry boxes. So you give them more packages. At the price of $6, you tell yourself, I want to sell a lot. So you supply them with more boxes. And this is what we call an upwards trending graph. The line is going up. And the other one, we had, technical difficulties. Remind me to fire my stage crew. In the law of demand, we had a downward trending line. The line is going down. Remember that. Law of demand, downward trending line. Law of supply, upward trending graph. What's a downward trending graph? Well, it's a graph that's going down. What's an upward trending graph? There you go, it's a little bit. What's a downward trending graph? Graph that's going down. So upward trending graph that's going up. Nice. So your book, mentions, let me actually, I have your book. Let me pull out what your book says. Economists study the interaction between price, supply, and demand. If the price increases, the increase in the quantity, and I'm reading off the textbook. In the quantity supply, if the price increases, the increase in the quantity supplied and decrease in the quantity demanded can eventually result in a surplus, which causes the price to fall. These countervailing trends tend to move the price as well as the quantity supplied and demanded towards an equilibrium value. What does that mean? That's a lot of gibberish. That's a lot of, what does that mean? Basically what it means is we studied the law of demand. As price goes up, quantity goes down, and we saw the graph. We studied law of supply. As the supplies goes up, as the price goes up, quantity supplied goes up. Now, these are the yin and the yang of the economy, basically meaning that they're two parts of a whole. And your book gives you the whole. It gives you the picture of the whole already. You've probably seen this in your book. Now, this graph is made up of two of the demand graph and the supply graph. They're basically joining up the yin and the yang to make one whole graph. The whole harmony. And just like the harmony, right here, this little center where the two lines intersect, that's what your book means when they say where the two lines intersect, where they meet. That is the point where price, supply, and demand all equal each other. Now, what does that mean? So basically what that means is, excuse me, I'll move this. It's the equilibrium point right here, where quantity demanded, the demand graph, intersects, so it equals quantity supplied, where quantity demanded equals intersects quantity supplied. What does that mean though? It basically means you're supplying as much as people demand. So you're selling exactly what you have. Or, in other words, you have exactly as much. Oh, gotta move that, I'm sorry. You have exactly as much as people want. So that's what I mean. This is the equilibrium point. And let's move it back because I'm making it a little shaky now. This is the equilibrium point where price, well, actually, I'm getting to it. Yeah. So this is the equilibrium point where supply is equal to demand. And the price is just at the center. So the price is just enough to where producers want to supply as much as people want to demand. That was a little confusing, but it's going to make a little more sense later on when I explain a little more what price is. But for now, remember that this equilibrium point is where quantity demanded intersects, so equals to quantity supplied. It's when you're selling as much as people want, or you have as much as people want to buy. All right, got that? It's a little complicated, but it's all good. We're getting there. So your book also mentions that the price, for example, the demanded can eventually result in a surplus, which causes the price to fall. These countervailing trends tend to move the price as well as the quantity supplied and demanded towards equilibrium. What that means is that this graph is kind of like a sliding scale for price. The price is going to move up and down to try and hit this point right here. And it makes sense if you think about it. If you're above this point, that means that you're supplying more than people want, which means that you're not selling everything you have. The store has a surplus. It has more items than people want to buy, and you have all these cranberries left in the coolers who people don't really buy them. They're going to go bad. So what do you do to sell your items so they don't go bad? Well, think about the law. These are all technical. These are all technical difficulties. This is why this is free. Imagine if you paid for this. Oh God, I'd be mad too. The demand for my items is not high, so I have to lower my price so the demand gets higher. Oh my God, that's cool. That's real life math. Anyways, let's go back to our example. So that makes sense. We have to think about it. The law of demand. Remember what the law of demand says. As price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. And the opposite is true. As price goes down, quantity demanded goes up. So if we have a surplus of an item, we have more than people want. What do? Well, we can lower the supplies, we can lower the price of our cranberries. That way, more people want to buy them. Because, think about it. If you see an item on sale, you're most likely going to want to buy that item more. So the price is right. The point's right here. We lower the price so that more people want to buy. And eventually, we end up selling all the cranberries that we thought that were going to go bad. We put them on sale, and we ended up selling all of it. Hooray for us. I put it right here. Lower price to sell remaining cranberries. We don't want them to go bad. The opposite is true as well. Just how in the points, if you go higher than the equilibrium points, you're at a surplus. You're supplying more than people want. The opposite is true as well. If you're below the equilibrium point, then you're not supplying as much as people want to buy. You have too little cranberries and people want to buy more. Let's say it's Thanksgiving and you really underestimated the amount of people who want to eat cranberries at Thanksgiving. So people want to buy more. So what do you know by the law of demand? Well, as the price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. So what does that mean? That means that as the price of an item, so we're here. This is we're below the equilibrium point. We raise the price. That way, not many people want to buy that cranberry box anymore. That way, you don't really have that much of demand and less people come out angry. If you go to the store and you see that cranberry box cost $6, you're not really going to want to buy that. So you say to yourself, I'm okay. I'm not going to buy that. And less people want to buy it. So you don't have a shortage anymore because you raised the price and less people want to buy your item. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, where's the law of, so we've been talking about the law of demand. Where's the law of supply in all of this? Well, the opposite is true too. We can think of the law of supply as it as well. Go back to our example. Where's our example? I think I covered it actually. Yeah, I did. All right. Think about it as the law of supply. Think about these questions in the law of supply. If you have a surplus and you're supplying more than people want, well, what does the law of supply means? As the price goes down, quantity supplied goes down. Meaning, if you're supplying too much, you lower the price and the quantity supplied goes down as well. And eventually, you reach the equilibrium point. It's the exact same thing. And it's the exact same thing with the shortage.